written more publications than I have, but I'm competing. Especially now since we're getting so much press coverage. Thank you, Dean. I wanted to thank Nadia and Omar for inviting me here also. This is the first time I'm meeting them, and I can't say how amazing it is that this event is actually happening. And also to Chef Goulet and Chef Mehta for their services and for donating, this space. So this tragedy that took place not that long ago, a week and a half ago, it's only been, has brought us here together. And as Daisy mentioned, this is really an opportunity. And I think in many ways it's a gift that's been offered to us as LGBT people, as Muslims, and as a society at large to build bridges of understanding and for dialogue, and to begin to discuss topics that the larger Muslim and the LGBT communities are really afraid to have. On June 12th, on Sunday, I was having brunch with a dear friend of mine who was visiting, and suddenly my phone started ringing off the hook. I was receiving dozens of text messages and emails. An attack in Orlando had happened. It was a gay club. It was Latin night. The attacker was killed, and he was identified as someone with a Muslim-sounding name. It was at this moment that I knew that our community would be under attack, but this time it would be different. This time, not only would I have to defend attacks about my faith, but I would have to talk about how and why a Muslim man would go into a gay bar in one night and kill 49 people, leave more than 50 others mortally wounded, and dozens in terror. And that's exactly what has happened. Since June 12th, the Muslim Alliance for Sexual Gender Diversity, which is an all-volunteer organization led by a steering committee of 12 people, has received dozens of media requests from reporters wanting to speak to LGBT Muslims. For some reason, they think we have an answer to what he did. And they also want to know, what is it like to be gay and Muslim? We have signed on to solidarity statements, been on conference calls with allies within the LGBT and Muslim communities, and our world as LGBT Muslims has suddenly changed. We've gone from being nearly invisible to being hyper-visible. And the toll that hyper-visibility is going to take is not really clear right now. But what is clear is that this is a pivotal moment in time for every marginalized community that was impacted by the attacks in Orlando. There are social and political concerns that we suddenly need to deal with and grapple with. And these are issues that some of our communities weren't even talking about. Gun control, mental health, homophobia within Muslim communities, immigration and the lack of support for undocumented people, patriarchy and its toxicity in American society, and Islamophobia within LGBT communities. As Muslims and as immigrants, as LGBT people, and as members of numerous marginalized communities, this is a historic opportunity for us to look deeply within ourselves and our communities, and to examine the roots of prejudice that all of us hold. And also to stand in solidarity with other marginalized communities to reject violence against women, patriarchy, homophobia, and intolerance and religious extremism. The Muslim Alliance for Sexual Gender Diversity is pronounced like masjid, very blasphemous, the Arabic word for mosque. And the term masjid actually means the place where one makes oneself prostrate. It's also a place of safety. And our use of this acronym is both practical as a mnemonic device as well as symbolic, because we respectfully indicate that Islam is our common ground. And we need to look within our faith to promote an inclusive vision of Islam in which no one is turned away from their places of worship or religious communities. Masjid is an all-volunteer, multiracial, mixed-gender organization representative of the myriad communities within the LGBT and Muslim community. We work to support and empower, connect LGBT Muslims while challenging root causes of oppression, including misogyny and xenophobia, and to increase the acceptance of gender and sexual diversity within Muslim communities. So as individuals who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, and Muslim, often our experience puts us in a double jeopardy. We're invisible or misunderstood as Muslims in mainstream LGBT circles, and within Muslim circles, we're misunderstood as LGBT people. While in LGBT circles, there's an increasing openness to discussions around religion and faith, LGBT Muslims continue to experience a significant level of misunderstanding, exotification, and Islamophobia, and we cannot be our whole selves. The experience of coming out for us often means coming out as a Muslim, debunking myths and being singled out as representative of a very complex community and a very complex faith. In 2011, we organized the first LGBT Muslim retreat in the United States, and in 2013, as Dean mentioned, Masjid was launched officially. This annual event that we've had is an opportunity where our members come together to connect and reflect and celebrate the many identities that we hold present. In addition to the LGBT Muslim retreat, Masjid Steering Committee has spoken at conferences, at interfaith services, panel discussions, and we represented LGBT Muslims also at the first ever LGBT People of Color White House Summit, which was held in 2015. And since the Orlando attacks just a week and a half ago, Masjid members and other LGBT Muslims have been featured in dozens of articles, news programs, and online video clips. In the Quran, God says, "O humankind, indeed we have created you from male and female and made you into nations and tribes so that you may know one another. Indeed, the most noble of you in the sight of Allah is the one who is best in conduct and the most righteous." So how can we know each other? How can we break down barriers and begin to build bridges of understanding? And one way is definitely by holding gatherings like this. I think it was intentional that we were all split up. Or if you weren't split up, then you should split up after this. But this is an opportunity to bring LGBT people and